Hi, I'm Eve and I use any pronouns.
And I'm Phoenix, I use they them pronouns.
And this month we are discussing Faithbreaker by Hannah Kaner.
Yes, we are. This is the
sure
grand
are.
finale to the Fallen Gods trilogy. We have done episodes on Godkiller and on Sunbringer, so feel free to go listen to those if you haven't already, so that you're up to date on our opinions on the series so far.
Yeah.
And now we have this. The end.
Whatever the fuck happened to
I think
this.
It's fair to say that neither of us was particularly impressed with how this went.
Because I had semi hope going in because the second book was much better than book one.
The second book was a significant improvement over the first. Yeah.
And yet it regressed.
It not only regressed, but was worse than the first book.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, absolutely was worse than the first book.
Which is really quite impressive.
Yeah. And...
But we'll get to why.
We will. First of all, we should probably give a quick synopsis of what the book is about. Once again, there's going to be spoilers in this episode.
Yeah.
Go away.
Spoilers
abound. Do you want to read the book? Do you? Just... if you've made it this far in the series...
If you've read the other two...
read book 2...
You might want to find out how it all ends.
You might. Or you might not, and you could just listen to this episode. It is up to you. Because we're going to talk about it. But anyway. The first book sees our characters kissing Elogast and Inara. Nailed it.
Yep.
As well as Skediketh, the god of white lies, who's attached to her, traipse through the world as they go to the... what's the... Blenraden, thank you.
The city of the gods or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the city where a bunch of gods used to live.
Exactly. The first book was quite like road trip with like your band of no one wanted to really be together and they were going towards its goal to kill gods. You've got Kissin, who is a god killer. I can't remember exactly what the term is in the world, but she's god killer and she has a curse or a kind of like inscription of the god Obsidian on her. Obsidian? See, I kept reading it as Poseidon because basically...
Yes. I think we've talked about this in both of the previous episodes, the fact that some of the names of the gods in these books are slightly too close.
Yeah. There could have been better names for him. But, to be honest, he was my favourite god, but that wasn't hard.
Not scary.
He annoyed me. After book 2, he got really really annoying.
I think that's true of everybody in this book.
Everybody.
Some hardcore character assassination going on in Faithbreaker.
Like, really? And literally, in Skeddy's case, literal assassination.
It's not assassination if it's deliberate. Like, it was sacrifice.
Was it? Should it have been?
Okay, look, we'll get to that. Let's continue. Anyway. So Godkiller, okay. We've got Kissin, who is a Godkiller. We've got Elogast, who is a former knight turned baker, which could have been really cool but wasn't.
Would have been a really cute cozy book.
And then we have Inara and Skedi. Inara is like the daughter of a noble. Skedi is this god of white lies, and they are like bound together. They physically can't move very far apart from each other. Yes. They have this like bond. And the reason that they're travelling to Blenraden is because they've heard that there's like a way that Skediketh can like share another god's shrine, if I remember correctly. And the plan is that he can share another god's shrine and then doesn't have to be like bound to Inara anymore, and she doesn't have to be bound to him, and they can be free of each other, and everything will be good. I think that's basically the vibe. Yes.
And then at the end of book 1, Kissin plunges her sword into the Heseth? Or is it Hestia? It's Heseth, right?
Heseth, yes. Heseth is a god of fire.
Yes,
and,
but it's like a new term god. So it's like... newer god compared to like some of the other ones.
And has been like one of the last gods and has been working with the king that Elogast used to work for to like, I don't know, achieve world domination or whatever.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they encounter her in Glenraiden, and Kissin decides that the best thing she could possibly do is grab her and jump into the sea.
So
she
everyone
does.
thinks she's dead.
Yes.
And hence book 2.
Da, 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 da.
Da, da, da. So our cast of characters is separated with Kissin on another continent entirely.
Kissin has been washed back up on her homeland of Talisha.
Yes.
I
Where
recall
she witnesses the fire god's cult basically
Yes,
forming.
she discovers that
and,
Heseth has like been brought back by fire cultists there, but she's been brought back like weird because because gods are very influenced by how people worship them, and so because she's being brought back in this very like violent ritualistic war way, she comes back, but she's like she's not the same Heseth that there was before.
Exactly.
Which continues into Faithbreaker. But and meanwhile, Elogast, Inara, and Skedi are in the city of a place.
Sure are. Place name.
Lesia.
Yes.
They're in Lesia doing things. There's like a bit of
Supposedly.
a revolution at some point that Elogast like leads.
But then forgives in this book.
Inara discovers that she's a demigod.
Of
Inara and
the
Skedi
God of Safe Harbor.
of the God of Safe Harbor.
Yes.
Safe Haven.
Good idea. Safe Haven.
Yusuf, who's also that continues into Faithbreaker. Skedi discovers that he can get offerings that make him more powerful. They temporarily are able to get far away from each other. They have a falling out at some point, if I remember correctly, and then the end of the book, King Aaron who has now styled himself the Sunbringer, and he has the fire god Hestra in his heart, because that was like a deal that he made to not die.
Yes.
Way back when, because he like jumped, I think it was like Heseth maybe, or a god was about to kill Elogast, and Aaron jumped in front of it and took the sword, but it like destroyed his heart, and then he made a deal with a fire god to like stay alive. Blah blah blah. So he, with this fire god in his chest, has like begun his like reconquest of Midrin. His place, and he is like marching his armies towards Lesia, and there's a whole big like conflict, and then there's some weird magic, and they all end up in the capital city, and Kissin's there, and Inara and Skedi and Elogast are there, and also Inara's mum, who everybody thought was dead, is there, and the king is there, and then it's like, yay, they're all back together at the end of the book. And then we start this book, and within about 50 pages, they all split up again.
Immediately split up.
Which...
Why? What was the point? What was the
point?
point?
Really annoyed me, because you spent the whole of book 2 being like, oh my god, finally they're going to get back together, and like we'll have the group dynamic again. And then for most of this fucking book, Elogast is off doing his own fucking thing.
Yeah.
I was
so pissed. Off. Oh my gosh.
I was really annoyed about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we
Shall
read
we say
the
the
blurb?
rating?
Oh.
Yeah, well let's...
Yeah, which one should we do
rating
first?
Let's do rating. Because I think we're pretty
first.
close.
I think we were pretty close. I gave it 3.5.
I gave it a 3. So we're pretty much...
For
level.
the sake of comparison, I gave Godkiller, the first book, a 3.75, and Sunbringer a 4.25.
Oh, okay. I gave Faithbreaker 3, and I gave Sunbringer 4. So far,
yeah,
we've been pretty level.
Pretty close. And I think we both agree that this was the worst one.
This was by far the worst one. I was tempted to bring it down, actually.
I did consider it. I was like, should I put it 3.25? I don't know.
Because I was thinking a 2.75 for a while, and I was like, I'll just round it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So shall I
go
read
for
the
it.
blurb?
Sure, go for it.
War has come to Midrin. The fire god Heseth is leading an unstoppable army south, consuming everything in her path. This is her cult army. The kingdom's only hope of survival is for allies and old foes to unite. Elo, that's Elogast, navigates an uneasy alliance with Aaron, his friend, his enemy, and his king. Now they must both decide how much they're willing to sacrifice to turn the tides of war. Meanwhile, Inara joins her mother on their ship, the Silver Swift, to seek aid. Still grappling with her powers, Inara must reckon with who and what she is, while Skedi questions if their bond will be enough to keep them safe. Kissin has no allegiance to the old ways of Midran, but as she tries to find her family, she is forced to question what she is fighting for, and if they can win at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
so...
Firstly,
I don't even know
feel
how to
like
begin.
this book felt a lot more like book 1 than book 2. Like, tonally.
Yes. Writing style, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like a total reversion.
Yeah.
We just reverted to Monkey.
Yeah.
And the monkey was bad.
Yep. It was not good.
It was not a good monkey.
Yeah. This needed to tighten up so much. Because
do you know,
can forgive
I can't
it if
believe
it's the
I'm
first
saying
book.
this because of... should there have been 4 of them?
Okay. So, that was one of my points for later. Because yes, there should have.
There's stuff in this book that's really interesting, and then it just stops. It just skips over because we have to rush to the ending. And it's such a shame.
This was going to be... Okay, so my favourite part of the book, right?
Uh-huh.
I'll touch on that. Was the clerics. As the clerics. Specifically the point where they stab King Aaron. But we'll get to that. I thought that was a great climax.
Anybody stabbing Aaron is a fantastic time.
Stabs Aaron. Mainly because I think this could have been... One, get rid of Kissin. Her character arc in this book, there was no point in her doing anything.
What?
She didn't do anything. She didn't
I don't think
anything.
she had a character arc in this book.
She didn't.
I just want to say that.
She could have been taken out completely.
Her character arc in this book was, I'm falling in love with Inara's mum, lol.
Exactly. And it's like, no.
There wasn't, like, development.
There was not a singular piece of
start to finish, she just, like, fell in love with Inara's mum, apparently.
Yeah. And learned how to sail a boat, but not really, because she just watched other people do it. But anyway, this book could have been broken into. Have Faithbreaker be about King Aaron, the clerics, and maybe his romance with Elogast. And you can throw in a couple of the other things. Have a completely other thing. If you want Kissin to actually do anything, give her something to actually do other than find people who are fine.
Yeah. Because the other thing is, we got to see some of Erisia, right? Which is another continent that we hadn't been to before.
Which was really cool.
And it's where Elogast originally is from. And it was really cool. It was like a really, really great, tiny portion of this book.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem like it's going to be a big part of the book, because that's what Kissin and Inara and Skedi and Inara's mum are going off to do, is to get the Erisians on side so that they can help fend off Heseth and her big cult army. Mm-hmm. And they're there, and there's like a little bit of stuff, and then it's like, okay, cool, we'll come help you, and that's it.
Yep.
I would have loved if we, like you say, had one book that's Aaron and Elogast, and then another book that's Kissin and Inara and Skedi in Erisia, and then they all come together at the end of that book, and that's when you can have the big fucking conflict.
Exactly.
Instead of this, where all of the cool stuff got skipped over, including, which we'll get to, the final battle, which was hugely disappointing.
Oh my god. I was so annoyed. Because, like,
but anyway.
You can even hint at this hypothetical third book. You can hint at there being the giant conflict, and you could see, like, ships on the horizon, and then you get a slight glimpse of Kissin, and then, boom, that's the end of the book. Go into the fourth one, where you get Kissin's side. That would have been cool.
Or, I guess maybe it would make more sense to do it the other way around. Have book 3 focus on Kissin and Inara and Skedi, and then they're sailing back at the end of book 3, and book 4 is then Elogast, like, skips back a bit in time, Elogast and Aaron, and then partway through, the others come back, and that's when you have sort of the final conflict. But the pacing is all wrong.
Yeah, or at least have Elogast and his mother talk once. I don't think they actually talked.
No, we didn't. We didn't get a single interaction between the two.
No, they were like, "Oh yeah, we've got people talking about Elogast."
Yeah,
but nothing else. It was not great. I did like Elogast's mum. I thought she was really cool.
Yeah, she was great.
She was really
And like
cool.
you say, the whole
Really
clerics
interesting
thing was really, really cool.
I really enjoyed it. There was a specific, like, the clerics being introduced was I both hated and kind of liked the first chapter, where the clerics are slightly introduced through the three raiders or whatever coming to see Kissin and that away and kill someone on the boat
Yep.
as they're about to leave. Great introduction for them. Not a great plot point for the book. But from there, I really liked the development of that head cleric from being kind of like also manipulating the hell out of King Aaron.
Yes.
And basically being like, I can take all of this away from you. I am the only one, like, singing your praises, making your mythology. I could absolutely shatter that. I loved the shit out of it. Clerics are so fun.
Yeah.
And yet, there was so little of them. There is tiny, tiny, tiny little hints.
It was just the lead lady, Myth lady, whose name I can't remember, Mythsemene or something it was.
I would have loved to see.
She was like
the cult grow and like have like almost scenes that the fire cult would have had from like, you know, because of how big they had grown. I wanted to see that. I didn't want to see more of Elogast and Aaron having uncomfortable like bonding periods.
I think that was inevitable though, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least that was the one part of this book that did feel like it was a carry through from the previous books, right?
Yes.
Right from the start of book one, that was like a clearly telegraphed thing that the story of Elogast and Aaron was going to be central. That doesn't mean it was done well in this book, but at least it was like, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, because I was like semi-excited to see how they would interact in this book, because I thought they were quite sweet.
Shit.
It was just really shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of them gets a blowy from the other one, and that's like, now they're together. And then Aaron dies at the end, and everything is happy again.
I was A-okay with him dying. I was like, thank God.
Well, how else was it gonna end?
Yeah.
I think
how
this
else
is
was it gonna end?
the one thing I will say for the ending of this book, and I do not think the ending of this book was good.
No.
But with regards to Aaron, and I would say to an extent Skedi, I don't think either of their stories could have ended differently in terms of the events. How it happened could have been different. But the events of what specifically, the fact that they both die at the end, and that Aaron is no longer king, and Midrin is sort of recovering, and that Skedi is dead and sort of being properly worshipped as a god again, those two things I felt were inevitable.
Yes.
It could have been done so much better.
It could have been so much better. And like, I fully think she could have been able to do it better.
Oh, for sure.
Having seen book 2 and having liked it so much.
Yeah.
And yet, here we are.
Yeah. I liked the little bits of piratey stuff we got. I'm a sucker for pirates.
I thought that was very fun. Yes.
So that was nice.
I wanted more pirates. Once again, 4 books.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Pirates are very fun. Because I liked the only plot point that was actually impactful from Kissin was the overthrowing of like the vessel, of them getting captured by the ship. But that ended immediately, which was a shame.
Yeah. It just sort of... I think,
it just kind of started.
I know this is going to sound like a really weird thing to say because this is what plots are, but this book just felt like a sequence of things happening.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It was just like, happening to the character.
Thing happened. And it didn't feel like there was enough of like a cohesive thread to that. It was like, it felt a little bit like Hannah Kaner had been like, I want this scene, I want this scene, I want this scene. Had like written a bunch of scenes. And then was like,
and then the
shit,
rest
now I need
filler.
to tie these together somehow.
Yeah.
And has failed in that part, I think.
And that's probably why everyone felt so one-dimensional in this book.
Yeah.
Because there was the scenes that were good because they'd been pre-written, and then there was the filler in between those scenes.
And I think Kissin in particular feels really flat in this book.
Oh, extremely.
Because Kissin in book 2 has a really cool arc where she's learning that gods are not all just like evil and should all be killed, right? Like it's all about her adjusting how she views gods because she's starting to realise that some of them are actually trying to help humanity. And it's, you know, there's obviously a lot of complicated stuff about her homeland, and she obviously has complicated feelings about fire and all this sort of stuff. And in this book, her job is to stand there, occasionally hit things, and kiss Inara's mum.
Yep.
And
And then get burned almost to death.
Really,
at that one part.
Yeah.
Boiled
I really hated the what's even her fucking name? I can't even remember.
Inara's
Lady
mum.
Crier.
Lady Crier. I think
Her
is it
and Kissin.
Lessa Crier?
Lessa,
Crier.
thank you.
Lessa, yeah.
Lessa and Kissin, I hated with a fucking passion. I could see it
Yeah.
coming from a fucking mile away because it's
Yeah.
telegraphed like right at the start of the fucking book when they first meet. Kissin's like, oh, she's kind of pretty, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh no.
It was so unnecessary and
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the heady days of Godkiller when it's like Kissin and Elogast hate each other. Kissin and Elogast are having sex now.
Yeah. One is,
And it
personally,
felt a
I
little
didn't
bit,
want to be in the room.
I like how the start of Faithbreaker,
It's a fucking sex scene.
but it's very light at least.
Oh, it's
and
very light.
It's basically just Kissin being like, yeah, we still have sex, but we're basically friends with benefits, and it's just like you can just tell that what's happened is Hannah kind of wrote them getting together in the first book because she wanted to, right? Which is fair. Totally fine. And then she realised that actually what she wanted was Elogast and Aaron to be able to get together. So she was like, I need to quickly just tie up the Kiss and Elogast thing at the start of this book. And so she's just like, oh, they're just friends with benefits, guys, it's fine. They don't care romantically for each other, except that they sort of kind of do, but they don't really. So they're just fucking for fun. There we go. That's satisfactory, right? And it's like
have them break up. It's not that deep.
Well, it's just like they didn't need to be fucking at the start of this.
Oh God, no.
Right? They didn't even need to
hang
break
out.
up because they weren't together. I feel like having them have a conversation at the start of this book, where maybe Elogast approaches Kissin for some good times, and Kissin's like, you don't want good times with me, you want good times with him. Which she basically does say to him at some point. And I feel like just having them have that conversation instead of being like, I'm going to start the book with them having sex and then be like, but they're not going to do this anymore.
But
and it's
the
just
old
weird.
switcheroo.
It's just weird.
It's just weird. Like,
And then I think she almost
after
felt
Victor.
bad for Kissin for having taken away the quote unquote love interest. So she was like, here,
so you were like,
Lessa.
the nearest person.
The nearest adult.
person. Yep.
It's like, I've introduced Inara's mum. Kissin, you're now Inara's other mum. And it's just like, what?
Who the fuck? Why?
I think what makes it particularly
Why?
weird is that, even though I know that Kissin is supposed to be around the same age as Lessa,
She didn't feel it. She felt
No.
like a 20-year-old.
Yes,
having,
it feels like
relations with 40.
Exactly.
It was
And the
strange.
reality is that they're both in their 30s. But it doesn't feel that way.
It literally. Kissin feels kind of like a teenager-ish sometimes when she talks.
Yeah.
Because I talked like that when I was a teenager. And so I was like, no, Kissin, please. It would have been good if they didn't make Lady Crier feel so, older and established compared to Kissin.
Yeah. It's a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
It's like how... Because supposedly, in the before times, I'm sure there's bits where it talks about how, Inara remembers as a kid her mum was always busy because she was always, involved in, the politics of the country and stuff, right? And we know from this book that before that, Lessa was, a pirate for a while. And so it makes her feel like she's had a lot of life experience and done a lot of things. So she must be in her, 40s or something, except that she's apparently not.
No.
And on the flip side, we have Kissin, who, as far as we're concerned, the quote-unquote life experience she's had is just she's killed a bunch of gods, and it doesn't feel like she's had the same passage of time. And it just doesn't quite line up. I feel like the timeline of events prior to these books is unclear.
It is so unclear.
How long ago was the God War? How old are Elogast and Aaron? How old is Lessa? How old is Kissin? What do they all remember from the God War? What parts did they all play?
Do they remember?
What parts are they currently... it just doesn't quite line up.
Yeah. It's like,
in a way that makes sense.
because Kessin and Elogast are pretty much the same age as well.
I think
Like,
so.
what was she doing? What was she doing during the God War then?
Well, I'm pretty sure at one point it does mention that she fought in the battle at Blen Raiden. So she did fight in the God War, is the thing.
Loved a flashback.
But this is the thing, it doesn't feel like she did, because like you say, she acts like a young adult protagonist.
Yeah.
And she's not. She's like 30, apparently.
she's a bit naughty.
30, not naughty.
Oh, yeah.
She's 30.
She's 30, okay.
Or somewhere in there.
She's 30 and naughty, okay. Because the fucking way she speaks is... Okay, so when she comes back into the story, later on, and she walks into the room to see Elogast and stuff, I think they're having like a war plan or something, and she just steps into the room and says like, "That's a fucking stupid idea." Haha, I have arrived. It just feels like...
It's classic YA protagonist dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except she's 30.
Except that apparently she's like a full-grown fucking adult.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite match up.
Yeah. I knew I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't... The sheer amount of character regression in this book was a bit intense.
Literally, what I've written characters, we all went backwards, yay.
Yay. All of the goddamn development we got from the last book didn't...
Do you know, it feels a little bit
even...
like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Where you've got the first movie that's like, fine. Then you've got the second one that does something new, and I've looked at reviews, is apparently quite controversial, book 2 in this series. Some people fucking hated it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Right? Okay. But I fucking loved it. Much how I feel about The Last Jedi. I think it was the best of the three by far.
I thought the second one was the best one too.
Lots of people hated it because it did something new. And so then, panic, let's revert. And so the third thing ends up being the first thing again, but worse. It's literally the Star Wars sequel trilogy, like, sequence of events. Except that we didn't get Palpatine somehow returning. Thank fuck. I guess you could say somehow Seth has returned, but we know how.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, everybody regressed.
Everyone regressed. I must say, there was still a lot of character confusion with the names, especially Hestia and Heseth. I had to go back.
You cannot have two fire gods and call them Heseth and Hestra. You just can't.
You can't.
That is bad writing. You
call them something different.
This.
Yeah.
There are other letters other than H.
F, for instance. Name them something like fire-based. Like,
it's just,
Or have her be like a ground, one. Because we haven't really seen any ground ones.
I understand why, like, the whole focus on, like, the different aspects of fire was fine. Mm-hmm. I think that was good. I liked the, like, Heseth starts to represent, like, destructive, violent fire, and Hester represents, you know, the fire of hearth and home. And, like, cozy, warm, hopeful, right? I'm on board with that, but you cannot have them have such similar names.
No.
And especially given that Hestra is literally just one letter switched from Hestia. Like, you have some originality, Hannah.
Please. So, I did slightly like Hestia. Yes.
Hestra.
In this book.
It's an R.
Hestra. The
not
one
an I.
Oh, fuck.
Hestra.
See? Hestra.
It's not Hestia, but it's so similar.
It's so similar. Because there was like the slight bit of backstory about her, and she was hopping between different hearths. I did slightly enjoy that.
I think that might have been one of the best parts of this book. I also liked that,
I really liked
she...
her female love interest.
That was nice. I also liked that
really
she had like a crisis of faith.
Yeah.
In herself and also Aaron. Like, she has moments fully where she's like, we're just gonna fucking lose. What's the fucking point? And I love that. I love the idea of like of deities that are fallible and act like people, right? That have that same
exactly.
like, oh fuck, what's the fucking point? I'll just give up. That was really cool.
That was really cool, especially after having, because she knows the danger that the other one brings to the situation. And she's like, oh, I can't fucking.
Seth. Should we just call them the big one and the little one?
Fireboy and
Fireboy and Water Girl.
Exactly.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah, there we go. But like, oh god, what was I saying?
I don't know.
I did like her personality, and she was bringing into the like she's lived this long life without dying, so she has the preemptive knowledge of how the other ones worked in the past, and their like complete and utter control and like destructive power that the other one has compared to her.
Yes,
which I thought was good.
Yeah,
and the whole thing of like not Elogast, Aaron trying to convince her to have more faith in him.
Yeah.
But also being like, also he didn't really have a lot of faith either in the situation.
Yeah, but he knew
until
that
she's literally
keeping him alive, so.
Until the clerics.
Yes, the clerics.
Where they were trying to like ascend him.
Do you know what I think my biggest problem with the clerics is that functionally there's only one of them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, supposedly they are a faction, but there's only ever one of them that we see.
Yeah.
And it just felt a little bit flat.
Yeah. Where is the band, you know?
Well, it's like, you've got this final battle, right?
Yeah. Which
we'll talk about, but this final battle, and Meth Semini, or whatever the fuck her name is, Meth Lady, is there, right?
Meth Lady.
she's like standing behind Aaron, like, you know, ready to be part of it, and, you know, generating faith and whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been really cool if there'd been like a whole little unit of them, you know?
Yeah.
Or like one cleric in every, because you know how they, like in the battle they're all in. There's like all these different groups that have their own jobs.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's like Elogast's team, they're doing this thing, and Lessa's team, they're doing. Like, what if you had like a couple of clerics in every unit to keep the faith? You know. That would be good. Instead of it's just like basically it's just her. She seems to be the only one, and that's a bit shit.
Especially because in the voice of like thousands of people, especially in the six of an army, you're not really going to listen to one cleric.
Yeah.
I would think, oh my god, you're absolutely crazy, and walk away.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I know we're not meant to like Aaron, right? We're not meant to like his choices. But the fact that he's like, this seems like a good idea. Yeah. I'll have a cleric. And she's somebody who tried to kill some of my allies. That seems like a great plan. And even Elogast's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, I'm the king, Elogast. I can do what I want. And it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just, it's one of those things where you really have to suspend your disbelief because nobody would do that.
Yeah. It would also have been good for, like, the final stabbing scene. Where she attempts to ascend him because for some reason she's got it in her head, even though no one has told her this, that when he reaches the crux of his power, the right thing we'll do is to run him through.
Yeah, and then he'll become like a full god.
He'll ascend because they'll merge and boom.
This is somehow her thinking. Yeah.
Her thinking. But it would have been good if she did have that band of, like, clerics with her to, like, maybe even just, like, hold him down.
Oh, or, to do, like, a full fucking Julius Caesar on him.
Yeah, or, like, hung, drawn, and quarter him. Julius Caesar, like...
Just everybody stabbing him. Ides of March, you know?
That would have been really cool if he got, like, multiple stab wounds. They stabbed him 47 times.
Nothing cooler than multiple stab wounds, am I right, guys?
I love multiple stab wounds. Because, you know, that'll make them higher to divinity. Stab them more.
The more you stab, the closer to God you are.
You wouldn't stab a god.
You wouldn't steal a god.
A car. But...
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the clerics is such a cool concept that feels totally underutilized.
So underutilized. There could have also been like this is kind of going like a little world buildy, but the advancing army from the other side. We have one main battle with them, and then we have the big battle at the end.
Yes.
It would have been good to see emissaries or like clerics from the other side, because we don't think we get a single POV from their point of view.
No, we don't.
So
but I think that's because we're meant to just be like, they're just crazy evil cultists.
Yeah, it's just like, this is a massive army that's made up of irredeemable people who need to be killed.
The closest we do get,
want that.
We get, so firstly there's that bit where Hestra goes into a hearth and sees like a handful of soldiers from the enemy army, and they're talking, and it's very clear to her that they're not happy to be there.
They're not happy.
And then we also get, there's the prisoners that they take, and Aaron eventually ends up basically using one of them as his advisor.
Yeah.
And again, it's very clear that actually most of them are there because they're being forced to be there by their priests.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, I don't think there's a mentality of like, they're all evil, horrible people.
Yeah, no, maybe not.
But I don't think, I think this is probably the other issue with it being just one book, is that there's not there's no time, there's no space for that point of view.
And I kind of would have wanted that,
because we had that was one of the really cool things in book 2, right, was that we were getting bits of Aaron's point of view, and so we were seeing this conflict from both sides. Exactly.
Yeah. But we didn't really
I feel like if we'd had a whole book that was just focused on Aaron and Elogast fighting this war, we could have had some bits from the opposing side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if it was just like, there was a specific chapter that was Hestia looking in... Hestra? Fuck. Hestra looking in through a hearth.
This is my point!
we're just... Oh my gosh. Hestra looking in through a hearth and seeing a bunch of people talking because their brother had just been taken away to be a sacrifice or something like that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And they didn't want him to go, and he didn't want to go, and he'd been fighting back. I would have loved a chapter of even just that from their point of view, going about their daily routine, and then, oh god, shit, they're being used as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I would have kind of liked to see that.
Yeah.
I would have kind of wanted to see that. But, you know, I understand, because the book had to be, 400 pages, why we didn't get it.
Yeah.
But still.
Could have done 2 400-page books, and then we could have had it.
Yeah, we could have had it. We could have had more culty religion stuff. I would have really appreciated. I love cult.
Good writing would have been nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't really have anything else to say about character stuff, because they just everybody was a bit shit. We should probably talk a little bit about Inara and Skedi, because we haven't really mentioned them very much.
Oh, true.
Whose arc in... Right, so Inara's arc in this seems to basically just be, I want to find my god dad.
God dad,
right?
Yeah.
And then she finds God dad, and God dad, because he's been killed and revived since then, doesn't know who the fuck she is, and is also a bit of a knob. And then she's
extremely.
Like, okay, God dad, you help me and I'll build you a shrine.
Yeah.
And then at one point she just like breaks the curse that he puts on her.
Yeah.
But then she does it anyway.
Yeah. So
like at the end of the book, it's like there is a shrine to him, but nobody worships at it. We tricked him.
It was a waste of fucking time.
It was a waste.
So she goes to the shrine, and he's like a big big kind of hunky dude, and they write a contract, and it's like Kissen's, it's written on her skin, and she just immediately. After, I think it was like a couple chapters later, she breaks
so it's
it because Skedi just convinces her to do it, even though it'll like curse her forever.
Yeah, because her
mum
drugs her before the battle, so that she can put her on a fucking wagon with all the other kids away. And send her away from the battle so that she's safe. And she wakes up and she's like, "Fuck this shit!" Breaks her curse, and then I was incredibly confused about what happened, right? Because I thought they were really far from the battle because they'd been travelling for hours.
They were like over a hill,
and that she had seen that the Lord Yarrow or whoever had like
the traitor
had betrayed them all, and she had seen that there was like a problem where his ships were not like defending against the evil Talesian ships.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she said something about like, I'm gonna I can't. I'm sure her and Skenny have a conversation, and she's like, "No, you're right. I can't go back to the battle. I need to help here." But then you turn the fucking page, and her and Skenny are at the battlefield, and Skenny goes and sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What? Did I miss something?"
See, there's this whole thing where travel distance isn't a thing.
I didn't understand.
She just has really big steps.
Like, I could have sworn she was like, "No, you're right. I have to stay. I can like break this curse, but then I can like help protect, like help let everybody know that Yarrow has turned and all this shit." Yeah. And then it's like, okay, but actually, what I'm going to do is, I guess, just turn around and go to war.
Yeah.
And it didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense. Because Inara is at like the kind of sees the port and all the water.
Yeah.
Specifically because there's a scene that I remembered actually having an impact on me. Because I was like, holy fuck, why did they not do another thing? But it was when Obsidian uses like a big wave and you can tell he's died.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh shit, Kissin didn't talk to him once. They didn't like have a father-daughter reunion or anything.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a complete waste of time. It would have been a good point for Obsidian to show up and be like, hiya Kissin. Not hiya Kissin. Hiya Inara. We're going to go to the battle now. I'll just use all my like watery, powery goodness. But no.
Yeah.
Because it would have made kind of sense. But also, time travel.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck she got over there. Because, they're really far. And she didn't have any residual effects from like being drugged.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I really just like I don't understand. It's like, a citizen dies, and then she breaks the fucking curse thing with Yusuf, and then we have a Kissin chapter, and then we have an Elogast chapter, and then we have another Kissin chapter, and then an Aaron, and then an Elogast, and then it's Skedi, and he's flying into Heseth's body. Perfect. And it's like, what happened in between? How long have they been fucking running for? It doesn't make any sense.
She's but a child, having been drugged. She cannot move that fast.
I just don't get it.
Yeah. Also, the betrayal of Lord Yaros or whatever didn't impact the use.
It didn't matter in the fucking slightest.
In the slightest.
What was the fucking point?
Because I forgot he existed. Because he showed
many characters that are mentioned as having, and I'm like, I know you're from book 2, but I don't remember.
I don't think he had the slightest bit of impact on me in
because I think because in book 2 he's the son of the Lord who kills his dad to become the new Lord Yarrow, because the son is loyal to Aaron but the dad isn't.
Yes.
But then it's just like, cool. I'd forgotten all of this.
We have a guy now who like is cool
and then it's
with
like,
the Empire.
He's betrayed us. Oh wait, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. The book's fucking ended.
Anything. The book's over. The last battle. I feel like now is the time to talk about the battle.
Let's just talk about it.
So it starts off with like classic, like we're going into a big battle, and it's like dramatic, and there's like some really cool stuff happening, and then very quickly it's over.
Yeah.
Like, am I crazy? It feels like it just like went.
It was like 4 chapters. Nothing happened in it.
I feel like there was a lot of chapters of, oh no, Aaron's just been stabbed by the cleric. We totally couldn't have seen that happening.
Oh yeah. Because there was a lot of people being like, oh, he's on the floor. I
like,
wonder what happened.
We get like 4 fucking chapters of people seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Skedi just fucking flies into the fucking God of Fire and dies. And that wins the battle.
Yeah. It would have been good to see like a battle between them.
Yeah, but then the battle's over, and then it's like, so it's literally Skedi flies into the fire, it dies, I guess, destroys the Seth.
Big rip.
Yeah. Because it's like his sacrifice lets Inara use her power, And Inara's power, I guess, just like destroys everything.
Not
or no, she uses her power to
anymore.
like summon all the gods of the land back.
Oh, because
That's what
he
it
was a
is.
sacrifice.
He was
for
a sacrifice.
her.
That
Yeah.
triggers her power,
I
and then
forgot
she
about
uses her power to like bring all the
Yeah.
gods back, and they all come and kill Heseth. And then that's it.
Yes.
It's literally, there's like 4 more pages, and then it's the epilogue.
Yes.
And it's like, what? Okay. I guess we'll not see the coolest part of the battle where all the gods fucking fight.
Right.
We'll just skip that.
There was no payoff.
You can have a paragraph of that, and then it's like, oh, now we're in the epilogue.
Yeah. There was absolutely no payoff for whatever the fuck we just went through for 400 pages.
Yeah.
And even the epilogue in itself, I didn't like.
No, because it
I'm
was a
not
bit
sure
shit.
what's happening.
The epilogue
don't
is
know
basically just, we did actually
even
build a temple to Yusuf, but we don't let anybody use it, hee hee.
Yeah.
Because that's how
There's-
we've obeyed the letter of the law, but not the
Uh-huh.
spirit of it. Ha 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 ha, hee hee hee
And
hee.
that eventually Inara will become queen because her mum's just been made
Well, it's
queen
like-
or something like that.
Yeah, it's like Elogast is going home to see his
Yeah.
mum and grieve
Finally.
the loss of his stupid fucking king lover guy,
Yeah.
who we don't fucking care about anyway, so it's no big loss, Elogast.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, Lessa is like a regent, right? She's like acting as regent. And this is the thing that I thought was really, really weird to me, is that Lessa also has no character growth, right? Like, start of the book, she hates Aaron, but she's like willing to go along with him to protect Midrin from the fucking fire cult. But then, like, that's the... And then at the end of the book, she's just like... It's like specifically about how, you know, she's trying to undo everything that Aaron had ever done, and Lessa was determined he'd be remembered as only the sacker of Lessia and Blin Raiden, burner of his people. So it's like she's... Which, like, he was, so totally fair, but it's just weird that, like, Lessa's still just like, yeah, no, fuck that guy, he was horrible.
Fuck that guy.
And then also Skedi has a shrine, and that's the end of the epilogue.
That's the end of the book. To be fair, I liked that Skedi had a shrine, but that was the only
This
thing.
is what I'm
I don't
saying.
even know what Kiss is doing.
It was, I think, the only way that Skedi's story was going to end.
Yeah. I don't know what Kissin was doing. Was she just hanging
I think
out
she was
with
just sort of
her new
standing there,
girlfriend?
saying goodbye to Elogast, and then staring at Lessa and being like, oh, I guess I can't fuck her now because she's the queen.
Oh.
And that's about it. We don't get any, like,
So-
where's Kissin going now? No, fuck that.
What she's doing. Yeah.
She's just standing there staring at the fucking queen. I guess she's going to live with her fucking friends.
Just, yeah.
I guess.
But I liked they came back, but they were there for
Yeah,
a
they
chat.
were there for about a total of a page, maybe, across the whole book.
Yeah. What happened?
This is what I want to know.
Genuinely, what
What the
happened?
fuck went wrong?
Because
Book 2 was like, things are changing. We're doing different
are
stuff.
changing.
And then
We're going
book
up in the
3 is just
world.
like, I'm gonna go backwards.
yeah,
I don't believe in character development. I believe in character regression. Everybody's going to be worse than they were before.
everyone
Yay!
is getting assassinated today, and only two of them are dying. Oh,
It's like, see all that character development I did in the previous books? I don't actually care about that.
I
It was
threw
all
a
just a big
grenade in a
fake out.
room with all my characters.
Hey,
And
fun
I
fact,
ran.
Rey, she's not nobody. She's actually Palpatine's daughter. This is the level we're at. Oh, I was so disappointed.
I was so nice.
I wasn't going into this with high expectations, right? I want
No.
to make that clear.
Yeah.
Even the second book that I thought was good, like there's much
it's
better books out there.
fantastic. Oh yeah,
And
this is
I
gonna be
would-
like
I would not recommend to somebody that they read this series just because the second book was good, right?
yeah. I
So
would
it's like
yeah.
mixed feelings.
The only people I would recommend this book to are people getting into fantasy and are maybe in the teenage bracket, but
Yeah.
never read fantasy really.
I think
Because
this series is good for people who like romantasy and want fantasy
Yes.
with less romance in it and want to try out fantasy. This is like your
Yeah.
fucking gateway drug. But
yes,
read it with the knowledge that there's so much better fantasy out there.
there is so much better fantasy.
Uh,
This
Yeah.
Was it a huge disappointment?
The only people I would recommend this book to right now are people who have already read the first two and feel like they ought to find out how it all ends.
I don't even know if I would do that.
I'm not saying that everybody who's read the first two must read this one. I mean that if you're one of those people who doesn't like leaving things unfinished...
Yeah. If you want to complete it, then complete it.
It won't take you long. It's like a 3-day book.
Oh, no, it's not.
Well,
it's
no, it took
holy
you a
shit,
while.
I've been here for 2 weeks and I can't seem to
I
push
think
through.
you might have picked it up at an unfortunate time where you were also in an unrelated reading slump.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
this made it worse.
Yeah, I think so. Because that was the month I read like 4 things.
You read it with bad timing, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's not like a Dead's gonna take you a very long time book. I think if you've read the first two and you really, really want to know how everything wraps up, then do it. But
yeah.
I don't think that I would recommend this to anybody otherwise. Like you say, I guess there is like if you're wanting like a sort of easy gateway into fantasy.
Into it.
But there's so many better gateways into fantasy though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And as for Hannah Kaner,
I'm not planning to pick up anymore.
I think I would very much like read the blurb. I think I'm on that sort of where it's like if the blurb sounds interesting, I might give it a go.
Yeah.
But I certainly do not feel inclined to just be like, that's by Hannah Kaner, I must read it.
I think I would sometimes if I don't know if I'd like I read a slight bit of spoilers. So I know what I'm. I kind of know what's ahead of me. I will go and read
people's reviews on Storygraph.
Yes, exactly.
To get a sense of it, but I don't think she's a. I would definitely like. Okay, so if we look at the other books that we've read so far this year, right, for book club.
Yes.
We had To Winter Nights. That was an anthology. That's weird. Pretty
good.
It was good, but like anthology, so it's like you can't really be like
you can't miss. For sure.
We had City of Last Chances. Anything Adrian Tchaikovsky writes, I will at least try.
I will try, yes.
Then we had A Memory Called Empire, and Arcady Martin has won my heart with that book. Like, if I see an Arcady Martin book in the future, I will pick it up.
Oh,
and then we've got this, and I do not feel that way about this.
No.
Hannah Kaner is not a definite buy author.
No.
She's a I might consider it maybe author, but only if the blurb sounds real good.
Yeah. Especially if you're comparing it to the last 2 books, which are both instant buy authors, I think.
And next month's book, in my opinion.
And next month's book. I will, slight spoilers, I will pick up anything that next month's book author Grace Curtis writes.
Yeah.
This was just not one that I loved.
I feel like we need to... We're recording this episode. Okay, both of us finished next month's book club book this morning.
In advance.
Right, we both finished it earlier today.
Before the recording.
I finished
5 minutes
it like
before the recording.
literally minutes before I joined the call.
I'd sat in it for about an hour.
We'll obviously be discussing it more next month, but
yes,
I think it's fair to say that both of us like Grace Curtis's writing. And that
I really like it.
If I see that Grace Curtis has a new book coming out again, I'll be like, yes, please.
Yes, please.
Which I have felt that way since I read Frontier. I read Frontier and I was like, the next book this person writes, I am reading, I am buying, and I will love it. And I did. It was Floating Hotel, and I fucking loved that book.
Floating Hotel is on my favourites list. I realised that is on my favourite list of books. But
I really enjoyed it. So far, this has been our weakest.
This has been the weakest.
And also the first one where I've been like, I don't... Well, to be fair, I did rate To Winter Nights lower overall.
Than this?
But anthologies are weird.
Anthologies are weird. It's hard to judge because many authors.
Of the novels that aren't anthologies that we've read so far this year, this is undoubtedly the weakest, and... I think that's likely to hold for a while because we've got Idle Fire by Grace Curtis next month, which I know I've enjoyed. Then we've got Murderbot, which I have very good feelings about.
I have high hopes.
And then we've got Emily Wile's Map of the Otherlands, which I think will at least be good.
Yeah. I've heard the audiobook is very good, so I'm planning to grab that. I've heard really good things about the audiobook.
I really enjoyed Idlefire. Spoilers for next month. I'm hopeful about
Yes.
Murderball. I'm hopeful about Emily Wilde. Spoiler, we've not chosen our September-October books yet.
Nope.
So we're currently in a position where it's looking not unreasonable that Faithbreaker, Jesus, they're all blurring in my brain. That
really broken my faith in
might
it.
be the worst novel
I think it'll be their
of
lowest
this
of the year.
season so far.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not including To Winter Nights in this because anthologies.
Yeah, it's
it's sort of
it's
a
hard
separate
to
thing.
yeah. No, I do agree. Let's do some recommendations because I think we made the point earlier of there's a lot of easier ways to get into fantasy reading. And I don't know about you, but I've got some, I think, decent ones to get into, at least some fantasy, some sci-fi.
I've just got some good solid fantasy, although I would say that a couple of them are good entry points, maybe.
Yeah. Do you want to go first? Shall I go first?
How many have you? I've got 4.
I've got 3.
Okay. Well, I'll just bash out one of mine because one of mine is a little
one.
bit of a cheat, which is Idlefire by Grace Curtis.
Nice. Perfect.
Because spoilers for next month, Idlefire also has a lot of stuff about gods.
Yes.
And all that. So if you really liked the like deity, gods, power, magic, world building stuff in this, Idlefire will probably be up your street.
I'm gonna say this Idlefire is what Faithbreaker wanted to be. Like
I would say maybe it's more accurate to say that Idlefire is the road trip fantasy novel that Godkiller could have been.
Godkiller could have been. Yes. Honestly,
because they're both sort of like a road trip fantasy, except that Idlefire is actually good.
It's fucking standalone. Yes.
And
make more road trips just standalone.
There's no totally unnecessary came out of nowhere fucking.
Yeah.
Any fucking that happens is organic. Anyway.
Exactly.
So that's like my cheat one. I wrote that down.
Your cheat one.
Literally just before I joined the call, so that's not really one. It wasn't one that I'd like pre-planned. I was just like, actually, that kind of works. But one of my actual recommendations, and I recommended this as an alternative for last month too, Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse.
Yes.
God,
I need to read this now.
It's really good.
Okay.
It's a really solid fantasy. It's also got some cool like gods stuff going on. And I would say that it's again actually probably like it's not a hard to get into book. It's not really dense. So I would say, you know, if you're somebody who wants to read fantasy and your understanding of fantasy is very much like that it's all white Western European fantasy, then Black Sun's a good place to start because it's very much not that.
Yeah.
Black Sun is very much like, what if we did diverse fantasy? Shock, gasp, horror.
What?
And I think it's absolutely fantastic. So if you're somebody who stays away from fantasy because of the reputation for like, you know, white men, there's plenty out there that is not that, and Black Sun is a really good example of that.
Nice. Hell yeah. Because it'd been on our list.
Yeah, we'd had it on our list
while.
of maybes for so long, and I was just like, it's also been on my TBR for so long.
Yeah, mine's staring at me behind me.
And then I realised that we'd at some point removed it from our list of maybes.
Oh, had we? Oh, shit. Okay.
So I was like, good, I'm just going to read it.
I know what we'd done. So we'd popped it in a month and we're like, oh, maybe we could move it, and then we just deleted.
I think we might have done that.
We might have just deleted it.
But I think we've kind of hit a point where we're trying to do slightly newer stuff more.
Yeah.
But we should, I was like, this is just going to sit on my TBR forever.
Yeah.
So I just decided to just read
idea.
it. And I'm kind of mad at myself for putting it off for so long. It's really good. And it is also the first in the series. I haven't read the rest of the series, but like...
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, if you want, you know, a wee gateway, I think Black Sun's not a bad shout.
Nice. Mine's slightly different, because it's kind of... I don't want to say urban fantasy, but it's historical like fantasy. because it's semi-linked to actual history. But we've read this for book club, and it's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies.
Ah, yes.
I think it's a great introduction for people to get interested in some fantastical elements, especially if they've read other styles of books before. Quick TLDR is Emily Wilde is a Cambridge professor. She studies fairies, and she's like a genius scholar, and she heads into... I'm going to absolutely butcher the name of the village, so I'm not going to bother. She heads into this village, and it's like very snowy. And her dashing and handsome academic rival, Wendell Bambleby, love that name.
Good old Wendell Bambleby.
Good old Wendell, great fucking guy. They have their little romance in the hills of this place while also uncovering the secrets of a sect of fairies. And I didn't expect to like it when we read it. I fucking loved this book. I like anything where it's like they are investigating something and writing stuff down, and they're being the women in STEM really speaks to me. So yeah. This is a great book. Also, I'll say it really quickly, is Our Hideous Progeny as well, actually.
Ooh,
which I'm 70% of way through and fucking loving. The audiobook is amazing. It is a Frankenstein retelling with dinosaurs. Go read it, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying myself. But yes,
yeah.
that's a little like fantasy, but a little bit historical, a little sprinkling. A little sprinkle in there.
A little dash of fantasy.
Exactly. Okay, hit me with your next one. Go for it.
Another one that I would say could be a good entry point for people. Notorious Sorcerer by Davinia Evans. I've talked about this series before. Again, it's the first of the series of 3 books. And it's like it's a really cool world where all of the magic is like alchemical based, and there's like different planes of reality that all have like different creatures that live there and different magical properties, and the main character accidentally does like a very public act of magic, which is very much not allowed, and then sort of discovers that he's like actually somebody who has the potential to make things better in the city. And I really enjoyed it. There's aspects of the society in the city that I've spoken about before that remind me a lot of like Orlais from the Dragon Age games, like the whole like very sort of like rules based noble society where you've got to like talk to the right people in the right way, and everybody wears the masks and all this sort of stuff.
I love a good mask.
It's a great series, and I would definitely say that like there's enough fantasy in there that like obviously it is fantasy, but it's not it's a good entry point. And also I really enjoyed them. They're nice easy reads. They're just nice and good.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed them.
Nice. My next one is I think you continued on with the series. I didn't, but I did enjoy the first one. It's kind of for people who like the school setting in their normal books, but Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I haven't thought about this book in ages, but then I was like, oh, well, if you like this, you'll probably like this. But it's like Arthurian legends, but what if they were like they passed down like magical abilities through Arthurian legend. And it has our main character, Bree Matthews, who wants nothing to do with her family or childhood home, and she goes to this school and she finds herself within the secret society called Legendborn, and with people who call themselves like Merlin, who can do magic, but it's got a mystery in it. I won't spoil that for anyone, but it's very fun. It's got a police report, and with her mother's passing, that's it's very fun, and it's all about who she is in this kind of closed off society who don't want her to be in it, but it's very. I thought it was great. Legendborn.
No, I've read the the second one. I've not read the third one yet because it's only just recently come out in hardback, and I'm waiting for it to be in paperback so that I have a matching set.
Yeah.
But no, they're really, really solid.
Do you like the continuation? Is the second book good? I never continued, so
I really enjoyed it. I gave it the same rating as I gave the first one.
Nice.
So that's promising. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed book 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, they're really good.
Okay.
My last one is less of an entry point.
Okay. Go for it.
Well, you could use it as an entry point, but it's very much a trust the process. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb.
Yeah.
I've talked about this.
I think there's a good entry
quite
point.
a bit. Well, okay, but no, because there's a lot of slog. Right, in the first book,
no,
you've
fair.
got to, you could absolutely read it as an entry point to fantasy, especially if you like Game of Thrones, because it's not the same vibe at all, but it kind of is. It's a lot less brutal and dark than Game of Thrones, but if you liked that, like kingdoms, political alliances, that sort of thing, then there's plenty of that.
I think it's a good gateway to epic fantasy then.
Yes. It's just, you really do just have to trust the process because the start is really slow going. It's worth it. It's a fantastic book, but it does take a while. So, you know, it comes with that caveat. But it's all about this guy who he's a child.
Small baby.
Is the bastard son of
chivalry.
The prince who is like next in line to become king, and when it comes out that he has the bastard son, said prince like steps away from the line of succession, and his son Fitz is taken to like the capital city and basically for most of his childhood lives with the stable hand guy. And learns various bits of like how to be a person, and then eventually, this is not a spoiler because it's the name of the book, becomes the apprentice to the king's personal assassin, and finds himself learning more complicated parts of political goings on of the kingdom and stuff.
Indeed.
And it's really cool. It's very not flashy, which I appreciated. It's not like a hero narrative. It's not like great heroes of myth and legend sort of fantasy. No. This is very much like mundane people in a fantastical world sort of fantasy, and I really enjoyed it, and I can strongly recommend it. But again, it comes with that caveat of like trust the process, trust in Robin Hobb. She will get you there. You just it does feel at first like it's not going to go well, but it all works out.
Indeed. Fantastic magic system. Fantastic magic
really
system.
cool magic system.
Really fun. Okay. My last one is a kind of entry into sci-fi, maybe? I would say.
Okay.
The Last Gifts of the Universe by Riley August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were slightly comparable. Well, not really. I just kind of want to recommend it. I fucking love it. A dying universe sees these two people go out into the universe to investigate dead planets. So our main character is an archivist who goes into the universe looking at technology, cultural rituals, all stuff like that. And you see like there's recordings from previous civilizations. There we go. That they hear between chapters, and it is basically what the hell happened to the rest of the universe. Where is everyone? Because there was people. Where have they gone?
Where people go?
Where they go? So it's our main character and their brother and Pumpkin the cat, and I just think it's very sweet. I love Pumpkin the cat. It was the best character. He was just harnessed to the main character for most of the book, so he couldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't trust my cat in a space installation. Especially not a ginger one.
Yeah. It's a choice.
But yeah, it was a choice. It was very fun though. It's a great book.
It is a great
read
book.
it on audio if you can, because I loved the audiobook. I thought it was
the audiobook was good. Yeah.
But yeah, those were mine.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Next month, as we have been discussing, we're reading Idle Fire by Grace Curtis.
Yes,
We've read
we are.
one of hers, theirs before.
Yes. We did
Floating Hotel.
last
Floating
year
Hotel,
sometime.
thank you. Which was very fun. I fucking loved it. I think we both did. It was a great book. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I also loved Idle Fire.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
We'll talk about it more next month.
Indeed we will.
We don't want to spoil next month's episode.
Just the battle is going to commence.
Go read that and come back. And we will not have a Talking in the Tavern for June.
Yes.
Because we're both very busy.
Unfortunately.
And so we're just not going to have time to squeeze everything in. So you're getting a book club, and that's it.
Book club of a really
we're taking a summer holiday.
Exactly. We're having a day off, all right? We're having a day off.
Radical. But we will have Talking in the Tavern. We'll be back in July. For our mid-year We'll do our mid-year freak out book tag.
Freak out, thank you.
Yeah, that we've done in the past. And obviously, from then on, hopefully, we'll be back to our normal routine for a while.
Our normal scheduled programming.
It's just that June will be a little blip, because even we need a break sometimes.
Exactly.
Except that's not why, it's just that scheduling wise it just doesn't work.
Scheduling wise it's a hell on earth. Matter of circumstance.
Yeah, but we're going to pretend it's because we need a break.
Yeah.
But yes, keep an eye out for our episode on Idle Fire next month.
Which will be a banger. Yes.
And obviously, if you haven't gone and listened to this month's Talking in the Tavern, go back and listen to that.
It was a good time. We did a funky little...
Yeah, we had an activity.
We had an activity. Hence the activity from that. I fucking loved it. Plowed through that book.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
I was so good. You have to finish it.
I'm working on it. It's an audiobook. It takes me a while.
It's okay.
I'm not always in the mood for an audiobook, and I've been very in a mood for music listening recently and not audiobook
That's fair.
listening, so.
That's absolutely fair. Bad things happen, and I'm scared.
It'll be fine. There's 7 more books for everything to work out.
Exactly.
So yes, we will see you in a month to talk about Empire.
Thank you for joining us here at the Tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
You can find me at Beans and Fungi on Blue Sky and Instagram. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky and YouTube.
And of course, make sure that you're following the podcast itself on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Blue Sky at Hearth and Tome, TikTok at hearth.and.tome, and YouTube at Hearth and Tome Pod to get updates about when episodes come out, as well as behind the scenes bits and bobs.
Bye!
Bye! The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.